Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arhatu Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arhato Samma Sambuddhassa Sadhu Sadhu. So today we are taking a sutta on anger. Buddha has spoken many times about anger and how it is not useful. And certain times he uses very strong language for anger, like when he says that I give you permission to kill one thing, and that is anger. Whenever it arises, you immediately kill it, because anger is the thing which has caused so much harm that there is no other emotion which can compare to anger in causing harm to oneself and to others. So that is the main thing about anger, is that anger can cause yourself harm, and anger can cause others harm also. So that's the reason the anger is very dangerous. But over here, the Buddha is trying to kind of give you an context on anger. So if you have anger, then he is kind of giving a context that what would your enemies think about. And the title I gave is anger, what is it good for? That there was an old song, war, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. So this is the same thing the Buddha is saying over here, that anger, what is it good for? And it is not good for anything. But what are the harms in it? It is there. So there is a lot of reading I will be doing over here. There is the information which he is giving is can be explained by his own words. So most of the time I'll be reading over here, because there are clarifications are a little. So this will be a different kind of session today. Students, there are these 7 things that are gratifying and advantageous to an enemy that come upon an angry man or woman. What 7? Here, students, an enemy wishes for an enemy. May he be ugly. For what reason? An enemy does not delight in the beauty of an enemy. When an angry person is overcome and oppressed by anger, though he may be well bathed, well anointed, with trimmed hair and beard, dressed in white clothes, still he is ugly. This is the first thing gratifying and advantageous to an enemy that comes upon an angry man or woman. So you see the pattern the Buddha is setting over here, is saying that how does the anger affect yourself? You may be kind of not aware, but you may think from the other's perspective, that how would an enemy think about you? Would the enemy want you to be beautiful or ugly? So when you are angry, you are not beautiful, you are ugly, because your facial expressions and everything changes when a person is in anger. Again, an enemy wishes for an enemy. May he sleep badly. For what reason? An enemy does not delight when an enemy sleeps well. When an angry person is overcome and oppressed by anger. And one other thing I liked is the word oppressed by anger. So it is also an impersonal way the Buddha is explaining anger. The anger comes and oppresses oneself. So when we take ownership of this anger, that is the when we can become oppressed by it. So when he is oppressed by anger, though he may sleep on a couch spread with rugs, blankets, and covers, with an excellent covering of antelope hide, with a canopy and red blisters at both ends, still he sleeps badly. This is the second things gratifying advantages to an enemy that comes upon an angry man or woman. So what does their enemy does not want is for you to have a good sleep, a good night's sleep. And when you are angry, you will not be able to sleep, because that thoughts kind of keep on regurgitating in your mind. So I was a kind of angry person, and that kind of things I have faced, and I've gone through those phases. And that is a very kind of a disturbed way of sleeping. One thing I kind of liked about some certain things which are revealed in the suttas about the time of the Buddha is the luxury the rich people could afford. So the Buddha is giving the example of the bed which is there, which has a big kind of round pillows on the both sides, which are red colored, which are covered in sheets, and which are covered in antelope hides. So there is a lot of luxury because we have a thinking that that time may be very tough, but on each period of prosperity in the past also, there were people who were living in luxury. Again, an enemy wishes for an enemy. May he not succeed. For what reason? An enemy does not delight in the success of an enemy. When an angry person is overcome and oppressed by anger, if he gets what is harmful, he thinks, I have gotten what is beneficial. And if he gets what is beneficial, he thinks, I have gotten what is harmful. When overcome by anger, he gets these things that are diametrically opposed. They lead to his harm, suffering for a long time. This is the third thing, gratifying and advantageous to an enemy that has come upon an angry man or woman. 1 second. I got this flu is running in this place. So I got this flu and cough. So over here, what the Buddha is saying is that when you are angry, you are not able to make good decisions. So what is beneficial, you think, oh, this is not beneficial. And if it is not beneficial, you think, oh, this is beneficial. So you do wrong kind of decisions, which leads to your harm and which leads to you not getting success. So that is also something one has to be careful about. Again, an enemy wishes for an enemy. May he not be wealthy. For what reason? An enemy does not delight in the wealth of an enemy. When an angry person is overcome and oppressed by anger, kings appropriate for the royal treasury any wealth he has acquired by energetic striving, amassed by strength of his arms, earned by the sweat of his brow, righteous wealth, righteously gained. This is the fourth thing, gratifying and advantageous to an enemy that comes upon an angry man or woman. So when a person is angry, he may offend the king. He may offend the person who is in charge of the area. And then it may lead to the confiscation of the wealth which he has rightly kind of acquired. And that can be taken away. So in modern times, we see that people get in trouble with the governments, and then there are tax raids are there on the person, or certain times there are laws made to kind of restrict certain people from business, and all those things happen because there is a kind of a bad blood between people. And because this bad blood, how does it start? With anger, with exchanging of bad words and exchanging of kind of insults. So that is what the anger leads to. It can lead to your wealth also going, which was acquired righteously. Again, an enemy wishes for an enemy. May he not be famous. For what reason? An enemy does not delight in the fame of an enemy. When an angry person is overcome and oppressed by anger, he loses whatever fame he has acquired. Though heedfulness, through heedfulness. This is the fifth thing, gratifying and advantageous to an enemy that comes upon an angry man or woman. So when a person is angry, he even if he has acquired fame, he can lose that fame. In the recent times, I kind of believe that in the pandemic, there was one big scandal about one of the most beloved person in American this thing. Alan, I think, I don't know I don't remember now she had a talk show. And the lady name was Alan, and she was considered to be very kind of a kind person. And I also liked her videos with the young kids, genius kids. She used to bring on her show and speak to them. But then it was found that like the Sutta MN 21, where the lady says that the lady is gentle, but when I kind of probe her, then we find out. Ellen DeGeneres, correct. So then she kind of shows her true colors. Then they were saying that, oh, she was angry, she made the work environment hostile. So because of the anger, the fame, whatever she had acquired, was lost, and that maybe made her enemies happy. So you have to be careful that with the anger, you can lose your fame also. Again, an enemy wishes for an enemy. May he not have friend. May he have no friends. For what reason? An enemy does not delight in an enemy having friends. When an angry person is overcome and oppressed by anger, his friends and companions, relatives and family members avoid him from afar. This is the sixth thing, gratifying and advantageous to an enemy that comes upon an angry man or woman. So when a person is angry, then nobody wants to be with that person, because then this anger is transferred to the other person. And then currently they use the word toxic environment. So it creates a toxic environment when a person is angry. And then people don't want to hang out with you, don't want to meet you, because they know that there will be a rant, there will be kind of a complaining which will be there. And that can also mean that you will lose your friends. Again, an enemy wishes for an enemy. With the breakup of the body after death, may he be born in a plane of misery, in a bad destination, in the lower world, in hell. For what reason? An enemy does not delight in an enemy's going to a good destination. When an angry person is overcome and oppressed by anger, he engages in misconduct by body, speech, and mind. As a consequence, still overcome by anger with the breakup of the body after death, he is reborn in the plane of misery, in a bad destination, in the lower world, in hell. This is the seventh thing, gratifying and advantageous to an enemy that comes upon an angry man or woman. These are the seven things, gratifying and advantageous to an enemy that come upon an angry man or woman. So, when a person is angry, his mind is not in balance. So when a person's mind is not in balance, he does certain things which may be harmful, which may be of breaking of the precepts. And because of that, at the end of his lifespan, when he is kind of passing away, his mind is not settled. And because his mind is not settled, he is not calm, the consciousness will go to a destination which is not good. So there are three destinations which are not good, which are below the human destination, which are the hungry ghost. Then there are the animal realm and the hell realms. So there the mind consciousness will be directed. So the Buddha is saying that by constantly being angry, that also will be a disadvantage for you. And then I think in verses, the Buddha is kind of reiterating the whole thing. So this is a very kind of a summarization, and a certain points are added in this also. The angry person is ugly. He also sleeps badly. Having gained some benefit, he takes it to be harmful. The angry person, overcome by anger, having slain by body and speech, incurs the loss of wealth. Maddened by anger, he acquires a bad reputation. His relatives, friends, and loved ones avoid the angry person. Anger is a cause of harm. Anger strips up mental turmoil. People do not recognize the pearl that has arisen from within. So the people will not recognize the kind of harm which is coming from within our own self or our own mind. The angry person doesn't know the good. The angry person doesn't see the Dhamma. There is just blindness and dense gloom when anger overcomes a person. When an angry person causes damage, whether easily or with difficulty, later, when the anger has vanished, he is tormented as if burned by fire. So when an angry person does certain thing in anger, then for the rest of his life, he has to have the guilt which he has to carry. So there was a friend of mine, very good friend of mine, who had a very bad incident in his family, where the father did certain things in anger, and it resulted in the kind of the death of his mother and his only brother. And the father lived through that, and he was basically guilt-ridden because of that, and that anger, he cannot take back the actions, and his actions will continue in the future also. It will give him a bad destination also. So there was no good which came out of that anger, and that is what the Buddha is saying, that even if you do certain things, then that guilt will torment you in this life, and whatever has happened, that will also be a result which will take you to the next life, and that will continue. He shows recalcitrance as a fire does a smoky crest. So he does not kind of agree, or does not do what is needed when it is needed. As a fire does a smoky crest. When his anger spreads outward, people become angry on his account. As I was telling, that when you are angry, then you can make other people angry. You can make the environment toxic. He has no shame or fear of wrong. His speech is not respectful. One overcome by anger has no island of safety at all. So when a person is angry, then the respectful speech also he forgets. Then he may speak disrespectfully. And one overcome by anger does not have an island of safety at all. So the Buddha gave this Parinibbana Sutta, that one has to become an island upon oneself. That is an island of safety, because one has to kind of practice on one own accord. It is nothing which is coming from outside. Whatever you are doing as a practice and gaining as wisdom, only that is your wealth, or that is what is will benefit you. But if a person is angry, then there is no safety which he has created for himself. I will tell you about the deeds that produce torment. So now when he's saying, I'll tell you about the deeds which are producing torment, he's saying that I will tell you about actual instances where people have created a lot of pain and suffering. So the Buddha is saying that I'll give you examples of pain and suffering which has happened in life, because the Buddha can see, and what he sees and knows, that he kind of shares with us. Listen to them as they are, remote from those that are righteous. So they are not, they are removed, or they are remote from those that are righteous. They are not like good people. An angry person slays his mother. An angry person slays his father. An angry person slays a Brahmin. An angry person slays a worldling. So, as you know that there are certain Maha Papa, they say, there are 5 things which are very heinous, which will definitely result in the person going to the other world, which is a hell realm, when he is passing away from this human existence. So what are those are the things, is killing your father, killing your mother. Killing a Brahmin means killing a Arahant. Okay, so these 3 are included in this this thing, and also killing a worldling. Even if a person kills a worldling, then also he goes to hell. So the Buddha is saying that this has happened, that the person have killed their father, the people have killed their mother, the people have killed the Arahant, and they kill other worldlings also. The angry worldling slays his mother, the good woman who gave him life, the one by whom he was nurtured and who showed him this world. Those beings like oneself each hold their self most dear, yet those who are angry kill themselves in various ways. So they say that one does not love anybody other than oneself. That is the highest love one has. But when a person is overcome by anger, then he can kill this person, which is the most loved also. So that he's talking about suicide. So this happens because in certain cases where there is an anger which is there, which can lead to self-harm. When they are distraught about diverse matters, because different matters, they are becoming distraught, and then they can take their own life. Some kill themselves with a sword. Some who are distraught swallow poison. Some hang themselves with a rope. Some jump onto a mountain gorge. Deeds that involve destroying growth and deeds that cause their own death. When doing such deeds, they do not know that defeat is born of anger. So they are doing certain things they are not aware of. And by doing those deeds, then they cause kind of destroying their growth, means their development also they can destroy. But one other way of saying is that anger kind of can lead to actions which are certain things which you would not normally do. In when you are calm, you will not do that things. And over here, 6R kind of works a lot. When you are angry, if you are able to recognize what is arisen, you release that anger, you relax, smile, and return back to the emotion which is there. If you are angry, then come back to an emotion of metta, or come back to an emotion of equanimity, and then keep on going. Even if your mind again goes to anger, then again do it. By doing 6 hours, you will be able to avoid kind of being in the grip of anger. It is not something which will happen immediately, but if you have this habit of taking 6 hours into daily life, then that would make a lot of difference in how you can deal with anger. Thus, that snarl hidden in the heart has taken the form of anger. One should cut it off by self-control, wisdom, energy, and right view. So one can cut off by having self-control. So 6 hours help in self-control. It develops wisdom. You have to have energy. So each time it goes away, you bring it back. And you have to have the right view. The right view is the impersonal perspective towards the anger which is arising. That this is not me, this is not mine, and this is not myself. The wise person should eradicate this one unwholesome quality. In such a way, one should train in the Dhamma. Do not yield to recalcitrance. So one thing which you have to work to eradicate is the anger. So whenever anger comes, you 6R. Free from anger, their misery gone. Free from delusion, no longer avid, tamed, having abandoned anger, the taintless ones attain Nibbana. So no longer avid means no longer craving for something. So no longer grasping anything. So that person will attain Nibbana. So the Buddha is saying that you can start with anger, then let go of all which is there, which is craving. All you see in the right view, which is seeing them in perspective. And then by just letting go all the other negative emotions also, starting with anger, then you will be able to reach the doors of Nibbana. So that is what the highest achievement is, something which the Buddha is promising, which is possible through letting go of anger. So this is a kind of a interesting sutta I found, and one of the suttas where the Buddha is saying that, see, what would others think about you if you are angry? So others will not others will who are not your friends will be kind of happy because you are ugly, you are kind of not doing the correct things, you are losing wealth, you are making wrong decisions, and all those things will make the enemy happy. So you will not sleep and all those things. So the Buddha is kind of giving in very emphasizing words that you should give up this thing which is anger whenever it comes up. And it is very easy to get angry. And it is kind of an art to learn how to let go of it, recognize it as impersonal, and let it go. Sometimes my mind, while just doing walking meditations or something like that, will come up, anger will come up about certain things which has happened, which was very minor thing, which was there, which was not had any consequence, but my mind can take over by anger. Then I have to just remind myself, this is not me, this is not myself. Relax, let go, re-smile, come back to equanimity. And that is what you have to do again and again, because the habitual tendencies can be strong in many kind of people, because the habitual tendencies, one teacher told me that your habits can be as long as 10,000 lifetimes. You don't know what you are dealing with, but you have to keep on doing it because that is the right effort. So when you are doing the right effort for as long as possible, then at one point of time that will yield results. At least in my case, I have not become publicly angry for a long time. But my mind can come up with anger for very small things, which are maybe if I kind of analyze it for a minute, I said, oh, there is nothing, that was nothing which was there. But at that point of time, so this aspect of anger, which kind of is explained by the Buddha in such detail, and in such persistent way, Buddha is saying, the suttas for anger are there, I think, in the Majjhima Nikaya, in Samyutta Nikaya, in Anguttara Nikaya. This is from the example of Anguttara Nikaya, where the Buddha is talking about anger. So he is persistently talking about the harms of not kind of controlling your mind or not being aware. So in the last, the formula what the Buddha is giving is the same formula for everything, because what he's saying is this will lead to your going to the one second, I went very back. So it leads to if the right actions which you are doing will lead to you going up till Nibbana. So what the Buddha is saying is a wise person should eradicate this one unwholesome quality. In such a way, one should train in the Dhamma. So how you remove the anger is the way you remove all the other unwholesome qualities. So the Buddha is giving the formula from one anger, he is taking to the whole unwholesome package. And then he is saying that when do not yield to recalcitrance, that is, do not become rigid or stubborn. So don't become stubborn, be flexible, let these things go. Don't, when you are kind of holding on to certain things, then change is not possible. So don't be stubborn, free from anger, their misery gone, free from delusion, no longer avid, tamed, having abandoned anger, the taintless one attain Nibbana. So by starting with anger, letting everything go, you will reach the final step. So is there any questions in this? Yes.
Hi, Bante, and thank you for sharing the sutta. I found it very interesting because I have it's a big hindrance of mine. Let's just say it this way with anger. What I found interesting in this sutta is well, there's always lots of connections, right, between different things in the suttas. But what I found interesting is the connection to the fifth precept, right, to abstaining from alcohol, basically, right, in the time of the Buddha. And on alcohol, there are several suttas, and some of them advise to laymen, where it was very interesting to see how many times he invokes like what you can actually do when you're intoxicated, right? What kind of misfortunes you're going to bring on yourself, what kind of shame you're going to bring yourself, what people are going to think of you because you're doing this or that. And it's very interesting because ultimately it's and he talked, and a lot, another word that comes up in the sutras a lot is intoxication in even young age, or intoxication in views. And what that means is basically falling into delusion, right? Because you're no longer seeing clearly. But even with alcohol or other things like that in intoxication, that's basically it. I mean, you can go off and do something terrible, or maybe you can just pass out and not harm anyone, right? There's also this possibility. And also, if you practice the fifth precept, for example, you're no longer subject to drinking alcohol, because that's it. You cut that off. It's not happening anymore. But the issue with anger is that it's the ultimate intoxication. You are intoxicated by anger to such an extent that you lose volition, essentially. And at the same time, it's very rarely the force of anger is so strong that it's very unlikely that a normal person, a regular worldling, would just lay down and fall asleep like he would, maybe if he's drunk. And so this ill will and hatred is kind of mixed into the intoxication. And also, there's nothing apart from the right effort or from working on the Eightfold Path that can sort of control the anger. So it becomes much more dangerous. And and I think, yeah, this is why, like, the urgency about anger is actually, this one thing that is potentially stronger than a lot of other hindrances, and also the ill will associated with it can cause all of these terrible things, some of which are the worst things in the suttas that lead straight to hell. So I think it's a very good sutta, and it can be read in several different ways. One is, of course, just understanding logically, like, oh yes, those things are true. But another one, for me, it's almost kind of like a guided meditation, if you will. Just seeing all these things that are happening, and and kind of feeling them as opposed to just trying to understand it. So just wanted to share that.
Just I got a memory about a story I got to hear when I was in Vatpananachar. So we went to the sister monastery, which was the mother monastery, Vatpapam. So we were going and touring that monastery, and then we were seeing the robe where they kind of dyed their robes. It was a little bigger facility than what we had in Vatpananachar. So somebody kind of said that over here there was a parajika. Parajika is the defeat. There are four things that killing somebody, having sexual relationship, having stolen something, or having misrepresented psychic abilities for the gain. So you may misrepresented a psychic ability by mistake. That is not a problem. But if you have done it deliberately for a gain, then those things are considered parajika. That means that you are no longer a monk. So a person has killed over here. So I said, what happened? So he said there was two bhikkhus were there. They were not kind of getting along with each other. Then one bhikkhu came and spoke some angry words to the other one, and this guy was cutting the wood. And he told something, and their angry words were exchanged, and then he started walking away. And this guy had this axe. There's a small kind of axe is there where he is cutting wood. So they make chips for the gankun, so that is jackfruit tree, and they boil that for the dye. So they were doing that process, and he just threw that axe towards the other bhikkhu, and it hit him in the back, and he killed him instantly. So just in a minute, everything was going on. Everybody was preparing their robe, and then this thing happened. In a minute of this anger, this flash of anger which came, in a minute his kind of whole life got destroyed. So immediately the police was called, and he was kind of disrobed. Because the police don't arrest a monk, so they actually disrobe the person and then arrest him as a lay person. So they disrobed him, and they took him away. So that was the kind of a thing where the anger did not take even a few kind of minutes. It was just in a minute, in a flash of a kind of few seconds. This person had this anger, the thoughts, the action was there, and his whole life has been ended. So other bhikkhu died, that life has ended, but his life himself has been ended now. So that was a kind of a very reminder for anger, and how the anger can be so kind of potent and dangerous for us. So one other thing about the intoxicants, in Vinaya, there is a story they teach. There was a monk who had psychic abilities. So he was called to a village because there was a Naga who was troubling the village. So he went where the Naga was staying, and he fought with the Naga, and the Naga became he kind of overcome the Naga. In India, people may know this. There is a similar story where Krishna goes to a lake, and there is a seven-headed snake is there. He overcomes, and he stands on the head of the snake. That is the same story which is there over here about the overcoming of the Naga. Then after that, the villages are very happy with him. So they ask him, "What do you want?" So he asks for this fermented drink, which has alcohol content in it. So there was a fermented drink which is traditional, maybe alcohol over there, or it may not be considered alcohol, but it has a alcohol content in it when it is fermented and made. So wherever he went, they used to give him this a drink on his pindapata. So by the end of this thing, he became intoxicated, and he became very intoxicated because he could not refuse also those drinks. Then when he came back, Buddha had arrived in that location, and then he became kind of very afraid, and he wanted to bow down to the Buddha. And Buddha was standing over here, and he bowed down in the opposite direction. Then the Buddha said that this mighty person who yesterday slayed a Naga cannot know the direction also because of the alcohol which he has had. So in that sense, it took a lot of time, as you kind of said, for him to become intoxicated. But for the anger to kind of get this thing was a very short time. So that is a very kind of good insight which you have shared. So that's a good thing. We have to be kind of careful. We have to learn from others' mistakes. So one example of wisdom is they said that is when you learn from your own mistakes. The other better wisdom is that when you learn from others' mistakes, that is a better kind of wisdom, because then you don't have to suffer from that pain of failure. So we have to learn from all those examples and others' mistakes, and ensure that whenever anger comes up, we suppress, or we kind of 6R them, not suppress them, but 6R them. And when you are 6Ring them, we are recognizing as their impersonal, and also letting go of the craving which is there when we relax. And then we bring up something wholesome. So we are replacing the anger with something wholesome, which is a smile, and then a object of meditation, which can be metta, karuna, mudita, or upekha, as the circumstances are there. In that way, we are also recognizing, removing, and replacing. And that is the way Sister Kema was very interested in this neuroplasticity. So neuroplasticity said that that is how you have to change your habits. You cannot just stop a habit, replace it with something else. So when they are trying to stop somebody from smoking, they ask them to take up, say, a TikTok or tic-tac, not TikTok, tic-tac, and then they put it in their mouth, because that action of taking a cigarette is replaced from action of putting a mint in your mouth. When you take a mint and put it, that is replacing, and that is how we are replacing. We are replacing the unwholesome with a wholesome, and that changes our minds working. So that's a very good reminder for us. Is there any other questions? Yes.
Bante, I have one question. Let's say, suppose someone is kind of new, like beginner to the practice, and maybe when they get angry, it's not immediate response to take up the 6R. So in that instance, would it be beneficial for them to like, recite the Buddha's name or, some kind of chant to help them calm down first and then, like,
If
yeah.
a chant or say something, then it is best. This is not me. This is not this is not myself. That's the best chant as for me, because it is something which has been given in the suttas also, where the Buddha is saying that one should remind oneself that this is not me, this is not mine, this is not myself. So when anger comes, then they can recite that. That should be the best thing to recite.
Okay, thank you, Bhante. Yeah, that's a good one.
So any other questions? If there are no questions, then we can end this. Yes, you. Yeah, I did not notice.
Yes. Can you hear me? I'm on
Yes.
a Bluetooth mic here. Yeah, there was a couple of things that struck me around anger, which are very, very helpful. If we've ever wondered about the strength of craving, just try and stop yourself being angry. You just see, the strength of craving, and that's a really, really useful thing to see. The Buddha talks about tanha and all the rest of it, but it's a real driving energy, and then I think we build respect for what craving is, because I think we do need to respect craving, because if we're too flippant about craving, say, then we don't realize what we're working with. So I think that's really helpful. And another thing I think that's very helpful, and I found very interesting, is that when anger arises, if you have the opportunity, just go and look at yourself in the mirror. It's very difficult to sustain the anger if you're watching yourself in the mirror. And then that also really helps us begin to understand how this is a very mobile thing that it kind of depends on our perspective. And we've caught ourselves into a pattern of thinking, and this generates all this energy. And the thing about looking in the mirror is, more often than not, you'll just start laughing at yourself, because you can't sustain that sort of energy, because you're outwardly referencing by looking at the reflection anyway. You're not so caught internally, but then you see how it manifests, how it makes you ugly, how it all of the things that you're describing, and how destructive it is, because we, picking up a point that Andre made, again, it's about respect. We really do need to be respectful of the energy of these responses that we have, because we need to treat them with care. We need to see them when they come up, and we need to hold them softly, because they really have a potency, which, as you're describing, Bhante, can change things in a moment. And so I don't think we need to be fearful, but we need to be respectful, and adopt a practice which sees these as great teachers, rather than things to be hidden away or done away with. It's only if, as Bhante Ramsey would say, we make these hindrances our friends and our teachers, that we begin to be guided, and think of something of that force that could be guiding you.
So what he says is that same thing, that it shows where our attachments are, when we make our hindrances our friends. And one other thing Bhante used to say is that when he was in a business, before any important meeting, he used to go before a mirror and smile and look at himself smiling. And then when he felt good and felt that he was smiling, then he used to go and speak to the client. And then whatever was the disagreement or something like that, and he used to say that he used to make $1 million houses. And then the client should come and say that I want to make this change and that change, and that would cost a lot. For him, it may seem that, oh, I'm just taking out this staircase from here and putting it over here. But he knows what is internally, what it takes, the amount of labor and all these things. So he said that I had to be really positive when I'm dealing with those people. You know, they were bankers, and most of the people were wealthy people, and he had to make himself in the correct mood. So as Hugh said, that go to the mirror and look at yourself, and then you know how you are. So when you again want to change, then smile at yourself in the mirror, and then you will feel better. So that's a very good kind of advice about the mirror, because one of the points is the Buddha is making that you look ugly when you are angry. It's very good. So is there any other questions? So okay, then I will share the merit. You will do it together. Everybody, if you want to join, you can join. May suffering once be suffering, and the fear struck. May you shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit you have thus acquired, that the acquisition of times of happiness. May beings inhabiting Veds and mangas of life share this merit of ours. May they long protect the dispensations.
Thank you, Bante.
Thank you everybody for coming. So next Wednesday we'll have 7:30. So I hope everybody comes. Okay, then you, Andy.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.